Here are all of the hydro gardens that I've made over the last, well, here are not all, but these are all the completed ones, and then I have a box of pieces down here, and then the stuff you see on the side were all like the prototypes before the prototype. But this is basically all the prints that I've saved of the hydro garden over the last 2 years. These being within the last six months. And then here are the light modules, and then the computer modules, and then some of the insides, and then like holders and stuff. I basically just want to go through not each variation of the hydro garden, but like the main design points. To start off, we have the first hydro garden ever. This is the first completed hydro garden ever. Made it blue. I was planning, my initial plan was to make this design right away, spend some time on the design, and then immediately make molds, and then immediately just start making hydro gardens and planting stuff in them. And as you see here, it has no insides or anything. It has one hole to put in a pump with air bubbles in it, but it has nowhere to put the air pump or any electronics. And I quickly realized that, first of all, this was a little bit too big. It was taking way too long to print. And then I bought a bunch of molding material, and it was just gonna be extremely expensive and super time consuming. And I realized that I didn't want to mold anything because I wanted to make a bunch of iterations and slowly make each iteration better than the last, and also add a bunch of components and electronics and insides to the hydro garden. As you see here, it's curved compared to the newer models, which are straight edged. So actually before even this, I was printing this and I kept messing up, and I printed like so many of these, and it was right when I got my 3D printer, and it was because I was printing with a certain type of plastic and I didn't heat the bed correctly. And then we get to like number 1 that I planted something in. As you see, it's a lot smaller than the OG one, but it still has the dot on the back, and it still doesn't have any insides. This is residue from the nutrients I was using, and I was actually growing stuff in this. And for nutrients, I use Epsom salt and this veggie bloom. That's kind of the first official one that I planted something in. And then I finally put some insides. And these two are 2 examples of one that have inside. In this box I have a whole bunch more, bunch of like miscellaneous items and test prints and stuff I've been prototyping them. But as you can see, it has insides. This one was the first one with wires to go through. And then I did make the size a little bit bigger, but yet still smaller than that. So the size went up, same kind of design with the curved edges. And then this is actually a good example. These two have different bottoms. This one was this one was before this one, and this one was originally gonna slide on a bottom part that had all the components in it, and then I decided that it would be easier and much smarter to just make one where all the components just are in the actual garden and they're less moving parts. Then we finally get over here, and this is the first one with kind of the straighter edges. And I reduced the size again, so I kind of just went small, big, and then a little bit smaller, just to save print time, save material. There wasn't any real reason to make it too big. And then we get over here, which is the first fully built hydro garden. Plexiglass. It has connectors through these that go to over here and then come out over here. So it shoots the electricity through the magnets into the light module. And then this was the light module for that one. Slides in like that. You can see the components are inside. I was using the ESP32 and a motor controller. And then we get to this one, which is basically the same as this one, but this time it had glass. And the sides are a little bit thicker because the glass panels were a little bit smaller than the plexiglass panels. So I had to make the sides a little bit thicker, which really wasn't a good, like, I mean, it doesn't look good, but I really wanted to use glass. And then this also has the new lights. So it went from that to this. Instead of having the magnets on the sides, I put it on the top like that, make it sleeker. And then this one, I also made this, the whole control module come out, and I put a lot more stuff. So opposed to this one, which has just an ESP32 and a motor controller or motor driver or whatever it's called, this one has an ESP32, 2 motor drivers, a wireless charger, 2 fans for air circulation, and then a pump for aeration of the water. That basically just clipped in like so. And then you put it on the wireless charger and then drop that on, and then everything's good to go. So there's a whole bunch of problems with having this. You have a whole bunch more connectors and a bunch of other places that things could go wrong. It was fun, but it made everything way too complicated, and I deemed it not the route to go, because I just wanted to make everything as simple as possible with the least amount of moving parts. So then on this one, I reverted back, or actually, it looks like on this one, I kind of just did the same. Tried to take away complexity. On these ones, on this one I also, same deal, kept the insert in. So what I was trying to do is just make the insert work better and simplify the insert, and then, because I spent a whole bunch of time and really didn't want to get rid of it, but at the end I had to just go back to the design where everything was inside the garden and not in something that you clip in. So as you see here, back to that, it looks really messy. This one has the humidifier in it, and at this point it was taking me so long to solder all the control boards together that I decided that I was just going to design my own PCB as the next step, and so that everything was on one board. And then also, or actually it was on this one, was the viewport to show water level, and then I wanted to put a LED at the bottom as an indicator light, which would kind of shine up into the viewport. This is just a modified version of that, not too much different. And then this is the latest prototype that's not working at all, but I just used plexiglass. Pretty soon this is just going to be one piece of glass. I'm going to mold it into one piece of glass, and then the electricity goes up these wires into this, and so it's kind of like a levitating light, and then the port is kind of like a water droplet. And then I also modified the sides, as you can see. It looks a little bit different. And then this one was also the first one that is designed. Oh snap. Oh, it's a prototype, and nothing was glued together, and I just wanted to see how everything worked. This one was never meant to be functional. It was just meant to see how the design looked. But this one was the first to be made to hold this new computer, the new PCB board. And then it slides in just like so. Now to go into the electronics. This was the first light. It was all soldered LEDs. And then I made my first PCB. This ended up, was supposed to be red and blue, but I forgot to wire up the blue, so it was just red light. And then this was RGB white, but something was wrong. I wired it up backwards, and it's really hard to explain the issue that was wrong, but kind of all the lights were kind of turning on, or it looked like everything was driven from the ground, which was all connected to one another. But I just finished and am about to order the new lights, which should work, which will be basically full spectrum. You can choose any wavelength and test out different wavelengths and stuff. Over here, you have the control module. Everything's all soldered. It's pretty messy. It took a lot of time to put the pieces together. And I turned this into that. So basically this is the same as this ESP and these two motor controllers. It doesn't have wireless charging and it does not have Wi-Fi. And then over here are the two different types of inserts. This will just take a basket like that, and then you put a seed in it, and then this takes a sponge, and you can kind of grow. There's more surface area to grow on. But yeah, that's basically the video. I just wanted to go over the physical models that I had. These are most of them, but I'll kind of just like show you what's inside the box. There's like a bunch of other stuff. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Peace.